Tom, we talked last week about the appointment of Amira El-Gawabe. The story has not gotten smaller. It's actually gotten bigger. The Prime Minister was asked about it today. Some people demanding she resign from her post, or he perhaps take that post away from her. Here's what he had to say when asked about it today.
She is there to speak for the community, with the community, and build bridges across. Obviously, she has thought carefully over many years about the impacts that various pieces of legislation and various political positions have had on the community. Her job now is to make sure that she's helping the government and helping everyone move forward and fight against it.
Okay, and then you heard the press, of course, clamoring for more. That's all we got. So, Tom, what do you make of this now? There are some people calling for resignations, otherwise suggesting let's just take a little time, think about this before we make something of a rash decision in her case. What do you think?
Well, it's rare for me to start there, but I am going to start off by almost being on the defensive because of what I'm about to say. I am a fast friend and ally of the Muslim community. I've received recognition as such several times. And if you remember the 2015 campaign, my steadfast support of the right of a woman to wear her niqab during a citizenship ceremony cost me a lot politically. So I'm also the person who presented a unanimous consent motion recognizing the importance of combating Islamophobia. I think Mr. Trudeau's, I was going to say made a mistake, but I don't think he made a mistake. I think he's doing it on purpose. So I think he's wrong to have appointed Madame El-Gawabe because of the job description he just gave. There's legislation. She's got to be able to speak to it. How can Amira El-Gawabe speak to Bill 21, which is, for me, and I've written scores of articles about this in a half a dozen publications in English and in French, how can she speak to Bill 21 with any credibility or objectivity when she's said not that the Quebec government has done something that she finds, unforgivable or unbearable, or she said the Quebecers. So somebody whose job is to fight discrimination and prejudice is prejudging, that's prejudice, the majority of Quebecers. I take offense at that precisely because I've been such a long-time strong ally of that community. And I know that Pablo Rodriguez, the Minister of Heritage, said something very similar to what I just said. So I think that if Mr. Trudeau is going to continue with this, we have to realize that this is more of a political move than anything else. It's a large community. They will see Mr. Poilievre, who has also said that she shouldn't be in this position. The community is liable to see Mr. Trudeau as their stronger ally without looking at the details of it and going against Poilievre. And that's why this is, at the base of it, strictly politics. I bear her no ill will. I remember during a prior campaign in the 2008 campaign, we had a candidate who was wearing hijab, and it became a big dust up in the media here in Quebec, and we stuck to we stuck with our candidate, and I'm very proud that we did. But this is not what this is about. This is about whether or not this person can do the job description Mr. Trudeau just gave, which is reaching out, building bridges. And when you start with what she said, if she had apologized, if she had withdrawn what she had said, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
All right, Tom, let me stop you there for one sec because I want to make sure I have this right. I believe her answer to this charge was she was referring, she said, to a study, to a poll that had been conducted as opposed to this is what she felt. Does that make a difference?
Well, no, because she's just doubling down. She's trying to justify the unjustifiable. And she didn't just say that. She said that, in her view, most Quebecers are less interested in the rule of law than in having these anti-Muslim sentiments. So, no, and she didn't reference any of that in the paper that she published. No, and there have been other statements and events since then. So, no, this is a way of trying to rationalize something that she did, and I just don't think it washes. No.
Fair enough.
I feel like I'm missing something in all of this. Like, I thought she was calling a spade a spade. I thought she was saying that there is anti-Muslim sentiment behind Bill 21. What am I? Mm-hmm.
That's an opinion that people can express. But for her to have already stated the case that, in her view, the majority of Quebecers have an animus against the Muslim community, how is she supposed to then be able to talk about Bill 21?
Right.
If she's already drawn her conclusion before meeting with or talking, I disagree. I don't think that there are probably very few people who have published as many papers against Bill 21 as I have. Mm-hmm. So don't get me wrong on this. You know which side I come down on. But it also allows me to say that if we want to be able to have this discussion serenely and with people who are going to be listened to, then we have to talk to somebody or have a spokesperson other than Amira El-Gawabi. That's my point.
So, in your opinion, she is not the right person for the job.
I don't think she can do the job that Justin Trudeau just described. Take Justin Trudeau at his word. Re-listen to what he just described as her job, and then say, how can a person who's already decided that the majority of Quebecers are anti-Muslim, how can that person do that job and reach out and build bridges and talk about legislation, which is one of the job descriptions that Mr. Trudeau gave with regard to Bill 21. I don't think she can do the job. And I think, and again, I was about to say a mistake. I think that Mr. Trudeau was wrong. I think that they knew exactly what her background was and that this is beyond anything else.
What would be the point of that then, Tom? If he knew her background and knew that it might raise some eyebrows, why go ahead and go through with this?
Because this is the way you build your voters in the next election. We're talking about a large community in Canada, about 1 million strong. So if their overarching perception in this, because we've just spoken about this for the better part of 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
So you don't get the chance to give 5-6 minutes in an answer. It's either you're with us or against us. The way it's going to be perceived is Trudeau's with us. And anybody who speaks against her having been appointed in politics, for example, the head of the Conservative Party, the perception is going to be he's against us. And this is how, this is one vote at a time, but sometimes you're able to you're able to corral hundreds of thousands of votes. Not everybody in the community is going to feel the same way because it is a diverse community. But overall, the sense that's going to be left for a lot of people, and Mr. Trudeau understands this stuff innately. He's been at this his whole life. He knows what he's doing, and it's not a mistake. It's not an accident in that sense.
Okay. Well, then, speaking of perception, I wonder what you think about François Legault choosing not to attend the 6th anniversary.
Horrible decision.
Okay, and then sending the deputy minister in his place.
Yeah, I mean, the deputy prime minister is Geneviève Guilbeault. She's an extraordinarily able politician, and this is very close, if not in. I'd have to check, but it's very close to her Quebec City riding. And so it was totally logical that she be there. But, I mean, the National Assembly reconvenes tomorrow. This was last night. You'd have trouble convincing me that Mr. Legault was so busy doing other stuff that he couldn't spend an hour offering his thoughts, his prayers, and his condolences to a community that's still in bereavement over these horrible murders that were hate-filled and hate-inspired. So I think it was an incredibly bad opportunity, a lost opportunity and a very bad move by Premier Legault.
All right, I'm going to guess he didn't make this move on his own, Tom. He must have had people say to him, no, we don't think this is a good place for you to be. Go ahead and send Geneviève Guilbeault instead. Where's the rationale in not showing up as the premier to this?
Well, everything takes place in a context, and part of the context is this whole discussion that had been going on for 48 hours around Amira El-Gawabi's nomination. He would have wound up having to speak to that instead of just making an offer of condolences, and maybe the people around him said, boss, this is not the time. I think that he's a pretty determined guy, and he's very deeply experienced, and nobody gets to tell a premier what to do. And I think that the person who made the decision is François Legault, and I think he made the wrong decision.
So he said family obligations. Can I ask what family obligations would be considered an okay reason? Like we were thinking amongst ourselves, Tom, it would have to be like the loss of a loved one or something
very
pretty
sick, something
pretty
like
serious.
That,
yeah, it would have to be serious, and he doesn't have to say what it is. So We're just going to have to speculate.
Okay.
What usually happens in a case like this, if it is something of that level, then somebody close to him will leak that to a chosen journalist who will be able to put it out there.
Okay, let me go before we run out of time. I saw Jagmeet Singh talking today again, now that the National or the House of Commons is sitting again. This idea of private health care, which is anathema, of course, to the NDP, but the idea of now calling for emergency debate because the Liberals want to, somehow have a plan that involves private health care. Did this come out of left field, or did you expect this?
Well, it's a very good technique to draw attention to yourself. When I was doing my show with Vashi Kapalis, we have a panel show on Mondays, and Jagmeet had already been on with Vashi Kapalis, and it's a very much listened to segment. He's been, on all the newscasts because of this request. We just spoke about it now. So in terms of communications technique in politics, it's really good. I don't think when the emergency debates are only granted by the Speaker when it's something that has never been able to be discussed basically anywhere else, and you can't do anything else with it except have that debate in the House of Commons. So it has to be a burning specific issue. This is something that Mr. Trudeau commented on, something that Doug Ford said that he might do. So it's very hard to see how the immediacy is there to grant the emergency debate. There might have already been a decision on it. I've been looking for it. I haven't seen it. The Speaker gets to decide that. My sense is he won't get the emergency debate, but boy, he's gotten a lot of press coverage thanks to it, and he's been able to, set himself apart from Justin Trudeau. I think that the average Canadian right now is not in a position where they believe that dogma and belief and rules sent from on high decide whether or not we get better health care. It's nice to say that historically it's been this way. We always pat ourselves on the back compared to the Americans, but I can tell you right now, our system is really not working. We're not getting the results that people are paying for, and we've got to start showing innovation and flexibility without ever getting to a system where you need to bring a credit card. As long as you can pay with your Medicare card, I think that we have to be a bit more open than we have been historically. And Mr. Singh is expressing an opinion that I know well because it's one that I hewed to when I was the leader of the NDP. But when I look at the tragic state of our healthcare system right now, I think we've got to start showing a little bit more flexibility.
Tom Mulcair. Tom, thank you.